with Winnie Williams and Akauti on sign language. We're coming to you live from Block 42, Alavidi, and here to give you what is coming in from your daily report. Now, starting it off, we start with President Museveni, who has commissioned the Mpondwe one-stop order. Now that the country has been fully reopened, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni urged Ugandans, particularly those in the markets, to get back to business. The president addressed the masses at the Mpondwe Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo DRC border shortly after officially opening the Mpondwe border export zone market at the Mpondwe one-stop border post in the Kasese region. He urged the gathering crowds to stabilize agriculture and to start value addition. We have more in this report.
But the problem has been that some of the people were not bothering to earn money through agriculture. They were working for a chida kyonka, working only for the stomach. Now, here in Kasese, you fragmented the land. You say population is 1.2 million and all that, but when we gave Kasese district, you were only 190,000. Now, with agriculture, we start with homestead incomes, commercial agriculture, with the Chivaro. So then you select, you should select, because now I don't think many people still have the 4 acres, but you select like the ones of Ruenga, some 1 or 2 of those activities, and then you concentrate on those.
He urges that it is simple to conduct business when the entire family is involved in agriculture because everyone would be part of the chain. He then pushed them to resume their normal operations, claiming that the coronavirus was the only cause of their closed markets.
I will come back and we have a proper talk. I want you to stabilize agriculture in Kasese, so that these smaller farms become farms which continue generation after generation. Rwakitora was there when Mzee Kaguta was there. It is there now. When Museveni is there, it will be there after Museveni has gone to heaven. And I put it in my will that if the children don't want to farm anymore, they can sell it to another Ugandan, but another Ugandan buys something whole. Let them sell it to another Ugandan so that he continues using it for production. Now, once you stabilize agriculture, like for instance in the families, that small family's farm of 1 or 2 activities. Let's say the children are 7 in the home. One of the children can look after that small farm. Then another one can do the trading, because we are now talking of trading. Another boy or girl can do the trading now, selling what is produced in the farm, but also what other farmers are producing. Because remember, we have told you many times that the economy has got 4 sectors: agriculture, manufacturing. Because manufacturing, you may not be able to have a farm, each one of you, but you can now have, if you have now specialized, like you specialize in milk, with milk, you can have a cooperative collecting milk together. I've heard that they will put some processing capacity here. So now value addition, which is a low level of industries, first steps of industry. And then there's also quality control, NBS. That is all part of, then there is certification, there is licensing, there is border permits.
The Great Lakes Trade Facilitation Project, which received over 5 billion Ugandan shillings in funding from the World Bank, is designed to increase trade capacity and lower costs of traders, particularly small-scale and female traders in the border regions. He emphasized the need for immediate market usage and suggested that visa-free border crossings among East African nations be implemented.
Because the reason we had stopped markets was because of Corona. But a few weeks ago, you remember, I made a national broadcast and we said we had opened the country, and we are now emphasizing immunization. So the border is now open. There should be no testing even of people coming and going, they can go.
According to Kasese LC5 chairperson Muhindi Bukombi Elfazi, restrictions on commerce such as visa fees in dollars equal to 10,000 Ugandan shillings for Ugandans to cross entering the DRC has hurt trade between Uganda and DRC. The fish market was the mostly impacted and has subsequently changed, according to him.
Your Excellency, these people, the natives around and traders, all of us well know that crossing to the next country, we do pass through migration. We are connecting with them, but what is challenging us is the crossing to Congo on a bay is still a problem. This was brought due to the pandemic because the border was closed. And I understand clearly, members around, I'm requesting the President of the Republic of Uganda that officially open our border so that we shouldn't get any problem, because most of us, most of the traders, they are losing jobs, and this facility may lose value if we don't utilize it.
The State Minister for Trade, Harriet Ntabazi, said more than 18 markets of this nature will be constructed as a way of building bridges to counter the barriers of trade between Uganda and other East African countries.
Your Excellency, in the same market, we have provided for a restaurant. This restaurant is also a business of its own, going to be rented out for somebody to start supplying food and collecting revenue. So, Your Excellency, we are creating jobs by making these markets available. And I have told Your Excellency in the report of the technical people and our agencies that we have 18 markets of this nature which are going to be constructed. Now, in the one-stop center, Your Excellency, we have provided for the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, because one of the biggest exports that we are doing in Uganda is agricultural nature. So, Your Excellency, we are going to have a big struggle with the Minister of Agriculture to make sure that they produce enough to feed Ugandans and then produce enough for East Africa and then outside. You have done a lot, Your Excellency, in looking for markets. And among the priorities that you've set is market access. The 5 priorities that you've set, Your Excellency, market access is one of them. And you've done your best.
According to the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Trade and Industry, Geraldine Sally, the market and the one-stop border posts will see an increase in regional market exports in the years to come.
So the Border Export Zone program was commissioned in 2010, and it was meant to cover the national trade policy of 2008 to ensure that the porous borders of Uganda are converted into official borders through that policy, and giving us a land-linked country as opposed to a landlocked country. So these border posts that we are putting in place are really meant to open Uganda to her neighbors, to be able to exchange trade of goods and services without missing out on the revenue collections, on the formalities, and all the formal movements that can enhance the development of our country.
The event, according to Uganda Revenue Authority Commissioner General John Musinguzi, is a proof that trade between Uganda and DRC is expanding. All of the government's agencies will need to cooperate in order to promote trade between the two countries.
And what we are witnessing today, commissioning of the one-stop border point between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is testimony that there is growing business between these two countries, which had not been there, despite the fact that these countries have always lived by each other, next to each other, but without much to trade. Your Excellency, the role of the one-stop border point that we have just opened today is to put together all the different agencies of government that facilitate trade to ensure that the cost of doing business is minimized and there are no delays. This is the main gate to DRC, as you already know, Your Excellency. Before the setting in of some insurgency in the DRC, as well as the recent bridge issue, we were clearing more than 3,500 trucks every month, taking goods or returning goods from the DRC. And a lot of the items that are taken from Uganda are cement, palm oil, sugar, iron and steel, beer, cattle, vehicles and bulldozers which are re-exported.
Mpondwe one-stop border post in Kasese district becomes the 8th one-stop border post after Malaba, Mutukula, Rakaka, Elegu, Katuna, Miramar Hills and Intoroko, also set up but still awaiting commissioning. 2 more are being built, one of which is the Suamu River one-stop border post and Buko near the Kenyan border. The Mpondwe border market, according to the district officials, is a game changer for the town council, which has had trouble in collecting local taxes. Monica Nabionga, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
And with that, we do head to the next report regarding the East African Procurement Forum. The upcoming East African Procurement Forum intends to boost communication and knowledge exchange with coordinating efforts to improve the region's public procurement environment, and as well as using open contracting as a tool for sustainable development. Issues relating to public procurement will be discussed, and solutions affecting the legal and regulatory framework of public procurement will further be developed. The event will run from the 23rd of March through March 27th at Kololo Independence Grounds. We have more in this report.
The Business Exhibition and Forum complement the East Africa region's effort to build momentum that will propel the area towards socio-economic transformation, prosperity, and sustainable development. Therefore, Uganda as a country has a chance to exchange experiences and difficulties with other countries in order to improve national procurement processes during the East African Procurement Forum and Business Expo.
The national budget is spent on public procurement. We consider it as an integral part of strategic governance. I believe this forum and the Business Expo align well with the East African region's efforts in consolidating momentum that will drive the region into socio-economic transformation, prosperity, and sustainable development. This East African Procurement Forum and Business Expo is therefore an opportunity for Uganda as a nation to share experiences and challenges.
He continues by stating that as the investment authority, we continue to play a crucial role in promoting the destination and ensuring that investors have a better awareness of the current business environment and investment climate in Uganda. The companies taking part in this forum and business exhibition will have an opportunity to take advantage of the opportunities in Uganda.
You can have access to these markets quota-free and tariff-free. That's the major point I would like to put over to our investors. But also to say, if you are coming here, all these East African investors coming to Uganda, we also have extra access to different markets apart from East Africa. So it's important to talk about that in order to ensure that Uganda is, how do I call it, a preferred business investment destination for these businesses or these entities that will come for this summit. So for example, we have COMESA, Common Market of East and Southern Africa, 600 million people, quota-free and tariff-free. Africa Continental Free Trade Area, 1.3 billion people, quota-free and tariff-free.
This forum aims to continue attracting high-quality investors and boosting trade between Uganda and East African region, allowing investors to set up shop and provide their services here. With bid support, investment possibilities, and the use of innovation, the various member nations of East Africa may support procurement throughout this area. Martha Nimsima, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Now we look at the grim festive period as food prices keep on roaring. As Ugandans prepare to celebrate Christmas Day, which will be Sunday, the dramatic surge in demand, as well as increased food costs and shortages brought on by the fall in price output in some of the sections of the West Nile region, have many Ugandans concerned now. In order to combat food insecurity, importers have urged the government to offer irrigation plans for rice growers. Naima Mutumba with more.
Over the past few months, the price of rice has more than doubled. Today, a kilogram of super rice costs 6,000 Ugandan shillings from 3,500 shillings. A dramatic increase in demand, coupled with shortages brought on by a fall in rice output in some regions of the West Nile region, has driven up rice prices. The situation hasn't been made any better by shortages of food products like maize flour, cassava, and the several potato varieties that make up a significant portion of the local diet.
As you know that we have short seasons here in Uganda. Right now, we have been harvesting from Lila and Soroti. But those two seasons, it cannot lasting over 2 months. Right now, it gets over. All the rice from there, from Lila and Soroti. As that it gets over, it's supposed to be going up or raising up. Finally, even there at Tanzania, where we're getting rice from, even they're not in the season also. Their season comes from on April. So we have if everything now is supposed to be raising.
The prices as per now are skyrocketing. The prices are increasing just because of one to two factors. First of all, as the law of demand states, the higher the demand, the higher the prices. So as per now, the demand for rice is increasing as we are in the Christmas season, and putting that one aside, the supply is reducing. For example, here domestically, we grow rice but at a small scale. So the fact that we grow it at a small scale, now the demand has exceeded the supply.
The Consumer Price Index for October, released by the Ugandan National Bureau of Statistics, deviates from the most recent market values. Statistics reveal that food crop and related item inflation increased by 3.3 percentage points from September to October, going from 30.3% to 33.8%. This is a result of Uganda not having enough rice for the internal and international market, which keeps the nation lagging, as we must import from other nations like Tanzania.
We import rice from TZ. That's where we can get the quantity that is needed. So, because we always import like trailers and trailers every week, we can get like seven trailers, each trailer carrying like 28 tonnages or tons. Yeah, so most of the rice that is sold on Ugandan market is imported from TZ.
Therefore, importers have asked the government to give farmers basic farming skills, such as the use of irrigation systems, especially in light of the consequences of climate change.
As in the prevailing conditions in Uganda cannot afford them, cannot make them or encourage them to grow rice. For example, here in Uganda, we don't have irrigation schemes whereby a farmer can grow rice when he's sure that I'm going to irrigate my rice. We depend on weather. And you know the inconsistencies in weather. You can grow your rice on large scale and then it can shine. Are you getting? And then the entire farm can get destroyed within 2 weeks. You as a government, you have to come up with a solution or with an alternative. That's where the irrigation schemes would be very important to the farmers, such that a farmer grows rice when he's sure that it's going to irrigate the rice.
According to a study from the Legislative Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industries, investigation into suspected unfair trade practices in the rice sector, Uganda produces 220,000 metric tons of rice annually, compared to a total consumption of 450,000 metric tons. As a result, there is a gap of 230,000 metric tons that must be filled by importing rice from other nations. According to data from the Ugandan Rice Millers Council, Uganda imported 423,226 metric tons of rice in the most recent fiscal year, with Tanzania providing the great majority. Naomi Mutumba, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Today, Parliament has paid tribute to Honourable Okabe Patrick, who passed on early this week as he was heading back home. Now, the lawmakers have asked the government to reinstall speed governors in order to address the problem of motor vehicle accidents, which are killing a lot of Ugandans. They say this in honour of Honourable Okabe Patrick, one of their own, who died in an accident on Monday. Samla Hanifa reports.
In his remarks to the crowd of mourners, Honourable Zijan David Livingstone suggested to the legislature that speed governors be brought back to assist combat the problem of accidents taking lives of many people on the road.
The prevalence of a government to reinstate the enforcement of speed governors in this country. And this is not to insinuate that the bishop was in any way overspeeding at all. But Right Honourable Speaker, just last week, we lost 84 citizens of this country. And I may not know the statistics of how many of those were as a result of speed or overspeeding. So if it may please you, Right Honourable Speaker, that the motion would be amended to include in the prayers prevalence of a government to reinstate the enforcement of speed governors.
That is in the law. So what we just need to do is enforceability of the laws that we have.
According to legislators, the Road Safety Act provides a provision for the speed governors, but these have not been implemented.
Yes, indeed it's true that we have an act on the speed governors, but the problem we have is indeed it's true that it's not been implemented. And now Madam has made it clear that we need to implement, we need to make that push. And how do you implement this? Because this comes with the budget, it does not come for free. So we are actually asking every member of parliament that accidents are very fatal. They take lives, they lose. You know, we make many families orphans. Accidents are not planned. It has no formula, it can happen to anyone. But however, if we can in our own capacity to prevent it, then we need to take all measures. Now, like it's we, the members of parliament, because we appropriate the budget for all these things. Any act we bring in, those ones financially, they have impacts as well.
The MPs say it is not only the speed governors that should be reinstated, but also reflectors and seat belts, because many of the accidents reported are because of lack of the above.
Majorly the implementers of the law, the traffic officers on the roads, that vehicles should have speed governors, because this policy was passed a long time ago. The challenge with our country, we keep passing laws, but these laws are not respected. Implementation is a problem. That's why some countries say we copy from Uganda and implement. To avoid the accidents in this country, we need speed governors to be put in the vehicles. Secondly, all vehicles should have reflectors in case it has got a mechanical problem, to be put behind and in front, because the major cause of accidents, we have vehicles that people, when they are spoiled, they put leaves on the way. So you cannot know whether these leaves dropped or these leaves were put there. And majorly at night, for instance, the case of our late brother, the Honourable Bishop Okabe, it was a bit dark in the night, very early, and this lorry had no reflectors ahead. That's why the bishop's driver crashed into the lorry. Therefore, we needed this to be implemented. And secondly, we had the law enforcing the safety belts. This has been forgotten at all.
Speed governors, in the opinion of Honourable Sebamala Richard, are beneficial, but they shouldn't be used as a pretext by corrupt people to begin extorting money from Ugandans.
Dole has instructed that it should be important that speed governors are reinstated in different vehicles. The Speaker is right. She's very right. Actually, it is one of the measures that can prevent accidents. However, like I've already said, it is only a temporary measure. For a crash like the one that Patrick Okabe had, you cannot say that even a seatbelt could save you. So it is a temporary measure. It is a good measure. It can be reinstated. Let it not be politicized. Let it not be made a business, because it might become, a gain for some people just because the Speaker has talked about it. So some people are going to go and start enforcing.
When Parliament reconvenes after the holidays, the topic of the road fund is anticipated to be discussed. Samlanifa, SMART24 TV, Parliament.
Now let's look at the Southern Sudan-Uganda Trade Expo. Entrepreneurs and producers in Uganda have taken advantage of the South Sudan-Uganda Trade Expo to cut out intermediaries and expand the market for their goods in South Sudan. Ugandan coffee farmers who traveled to Khartoum for the expo, which ends today, claim that the middlemen were charging them unfairly, and they now want to create a producer-to-consumer relationship to boost their income. We have more in this report.
The goal of the expo, which kicked off in Khartoum, Southern Sudan, with the slogan fostering economic success through regional trade, is to introduce farmers and business people to new markets and prospects. The Southern Sudan-Uganda Trade Expo was exploited by Ugandan business people and producers to drive out middlemen and expand market for Ugandan goods and services in Southern Sudan. They claim that middlemen were charging them unfair prices and that they now desired a producer-to-consumer relationship in order to increase their income.
In Uganda is that there are not so many buyers of coffee in Uganda, and most of the people who come there are brokers. So that's why we decided to come and attend the expo, and we are sure we are interacting with different people here. We are very sure we shall have a positive feedback to the end. We have buyers here, we have people linking us to markets here, and I think that will help us solve the problem of middlemen, because we have a very big challenge in Uganda selling to middlemen. In that way we don't get good prices.
Being the fact that Ugandans will produce perishable foods, we don't need most of the third party. It needs the consumer too, from the producer to the consumer, because of the processes that can lead to this delicate product. So this is why we are trying to eliminate the middlemen, so that the freshness of our product can be gotten from most of the countries.
Business people in Uganda believe that producer-to-consumer relationship enables businesses to understand the behavior of their clients and alter their business practices to better serve them. The Sudan-Uganda Expo, according to Proscovia Nanuzi, the coordinator of the Operation Wealth Creation to the executive assistant, comes after recent efforts by the government of Uganda and the private sector to establish genuine trade ties with the Democratic Republic of Congo and Southern Sudan.
Here in the neighboring countries, in Sudan, Khartoum, to see that we can use the space, that is the opportunity that they have, where they need the freshness of our products from Uganda, the apples, the pineapples, the passion fruits.
So far I'm grateful for this Sudan-Uganda Expo. We have been able to get access to some of the buyers here in Sudan. I've come to realize that these people know our coffee, but they don't know how it gets there. So they get our coffee through middlemen, and actually we've been able to get a chance to meet some of those buyers.
Uganda's main export market is Southern Sudan. Therefore, any hiccup brought on by middlemen has an impact on the commercial relationship between the two nations.
And we are here to eliminate the middleman, because when you find way back in Uganda, people produce and they get a very small price for what they produce.
The UN's Contract database on the world trade estimates that Uganda's exports to Southern Sudan were worth $357.34 million in 2020. Data, graphs and statistics regarding Ugandan exports to Southern Sudan were last updated on 20th December 2022. Pedison Mumbere, SMART24 TV, Business Today.
Business Today. Now let's take a break. We do return with more, including the Coffee Court.